Rin Fujiwara is 26 years old. She works as a clerk at a major trading company based in Tokyo. Day after day, she devotes herself to various support tasks in the office. Although most of her duties revolve around routine clerical work, she takes pride in handling each job with meticulous care. She genuinely enjoys helping others. Or rather, perhaps she tells herself that otherwise it might be hard to find pride in a clerk position. It isn't a flashy role, but each day she works diligently to support everyone around her. Still, deep in her heart, she holds a certain special feeling. It's her admiration for So Kawaguchi, the ace of the sales department. So Kawaguchi, 28, is the backbone of sales, an outstanding talent everyone depends on. Whenever she sees him at work, her own job suddenly feels trivial in comparison.
Hey, Rin, sorry to rush you, but could you take care of these?
He hands her a bundle of documents, and as she files them away, she can't help following him with her eyes. She's certain her feelings will never reach him. After all, she's just a clerk, and he's the star salesman. They live in different worlds. But that day was different. In the late afternoon, she went to deliver materials to the sales meeting room. Peering inside, she found Kawaguchi frowning at a set of numbers on the whiteboard.
I won't make it in time at this rate.
Hearing him mutter under his breath, she stopped. It was her first time seeing him so cornered. Apparently, a major error was discovered in the materials for tomorrow's presentation, forcing him to redo all the data from scratch. He seemed to be carrying the entire burden himself.
What should I do? Should I speak up? But I'd only be interfering. He's so capable, he can handle it alone.
Even as she thought that, she couldn't ignore how tired he looked, staring at his computer.
But if he's having trouble, maybe there's something I can do. It might be presumptuous, but I still want to help, if only a little. Mr. Kawaguchi, if it's all right, I can help.
The moment she spoke, her face grew warm. Was this too bold? What if he refused outright?
I'd feel bad about putting extra work on you.
As expected, yet his voice lacked any strong refusal.
Honestly, it's fine. I'm pretty good at this sort of thing.
Trying to hide her embarrassment, she flashed her brightest smile. He hesitated, then gave a small nod.
All right, I'd be grateful.
His words lifted a weight from her chest. While Mr. Kawaguchi double-checked the entire presentation, she set to work correcting the data. It was her first time collaborating so closely with him. Though her heart pounded, she focused on the task.
Wow, that's awesome, Fujiwara. You're zipping right through it.
The sudden compliment made her heart flutter.
No, it's really nothing.
She tried to downplay it, but inside she was thrilled. The next day, at lunchtime, she heard some commotion in the office.
I heard Mr. Kawaguchi's getting transferred.
Seriously? Is that official?
The news nearly made her drop her file. She hurried back to her desk, struggling to remain composed.
Transferred? Mr. Kawaguchi?
Management's announcement explained he was being reassigned to the Fukuoka branch under a major sales reinforcement project. He'd be there for a year because of the large-scale project centered in Fukuoka.
Fukuoka. How far is that?
Checking on her phone, it was over 5 hours away by bullet train or 90 minutes by plane. She'd no longer be able to see him any time at this office. That realization struck her like a blow, tightening her chest.
Mr. Kawaguchi, is it true about the transfer?
Another colleague asked, and with a modest smile, he answered,
I need to negotiate with clients in Fukuoka. I'll be handling things over there for a while.
Of course they trust him, but this means he won't be here. He's leaving this office.
Each time she heard him speak, the ache in her chest grew. Though she tried to maintain a smile, she felt tears threaten when she turned away. Back at her desk, she sighed heavily. Fukuoka sounded so far away. A year might go by quickly, but the idea of losing someone she'd grown used to seeing daily left a hollow feeling inside.
We probably won't talk much anymore.
She recalled the day she'd volunteered to help him, She had felt a little closer then. Now she would only drift further away, and the thought weighed on her heart. That night, she stayed behind, tidying her desk. Glancing up, she spotted Mr. Kawaguchi staring at his smartphone. He normally handled messages on his computer, so seeing him so focused on his phone was unusual. He tapped the screen with a slight frown.
What's on his mind?
She wondered but lacked the courage to speak. Concluding it must be important, she left the office for home. Settling down at home, that serious look he wore replayed in her head. It was odd, but she didn't give it further thought. She had no idea how that moment would later shake her own heart so significantly. A few weeks later, after work eased up, she started sorting through her emails. She normally never checked her spam folder, but a certain subject line caught her eye. Titled, "Thank you from So Kawaguchi." She clicked and found a short message.
Thanks for your help yesterday. I was able to finish the presentation successfully. If you're free sometime, maybe we could grab a meal?
Her heart skipped a beat. Joy washed over her, along with regret that she hadn't seen it sooner.
Why didn't I notice this earlier?
She stared at the email, hands trembling. She knew she had to reply, but her fingers just wouldn't move.
What do I even say? I'm so happy. Would that be enough? But that sounds too casual. He's inviting me so kindly. How am I supposed to respond?
She struggled to believe such an invitation was truly meant for her. He always seemed so out of reach. Why would he invite her to eat? Elation and anxiety clashed, leaving her mind in turmoil.
I want to reply properly, but I'm also scared of messing it up.
She loathed her tendency to overthink. All the same, she needed more time to figure out how to interpret his message. The next afternoon, she overheard her colleagues talking once more.
Isn't Mr. Kawaguchi's farewell party today?
Yes, somewhere near the office, but I heard he's not joining the second round.
With all his preparations for the transfer, he could only briefly attend his own farewell.
He must be under a lot of pressure.
It never occurred to her to be invited. As a clerk, she rarely mingled with sales on such occasions. Still, picturing the office without him felt like a void in her heart.
But maybe it's selfish of me to feel lonely about it.
Everyone else naturally planned to see him off. Yet she couldn't join that circle and quietly returned to her desk. She pictured the farewell party.
He's probably smiling, right? But we won't see that warm smile here anymore.
That mere thought squeezed her heart. Knowing she wasn't part of it made the loneliness worse. That night, rereading his email, she felt a gentle warmth in her chest. Yet her confusion wouldn't subside.
Is that really meant for me? He wouldn't say something so casually if he didn't mean it, but still.
Her hand, gripping the mouse, felt clammy. She had to respond, but the right words escaped her. The clock read past 8 p.m. The farewell's first round was likely ending.
Where's he going after the party?
She neither knew the venue nor how to contact him. She could ask around in sales, but she felt hesitant.
But if he's taking the train, maybe there's still time.
A jolt ran through her chest. She couldn't let it end without saying anything. She'd regret it for sure. She grabbed her bag and sprinted out of the office. At the station, she saw Mr. Kawaguchi standing near the ticket gates, looking at his phone. As calm as ever, but seeing him again made her heart clench.
Mr. Kawaguchi!
Shouting his name made her heart thunder. Typically, she'd never approach him like this. Yet for once, she refused to let the moment slip.
If he's cold to me, so be it. I can't move on without telling him how I feel.
Fujiwara, what are you doing here?
He was surprised, but then a slight, warm smile spread across his face.
I'm shocked you'd come all this way just to find me.
She rushed over, panting, and he eyed her with concern.
Your email. I saw it too late. I'm sorry.
Email?
Furrowing his brow, he looked confused. Fighting tears, she pressed on.
It made me so happy. So, if it's still okay, I'd love to go eat with you.
She felt her voice waver. but she had to speak before regret overwhelmed her. He appeared startled, then relaxed into a gentle smile, almost relieved.
I see. I'm glad you got my message.
His simple words reverberated in her chest. Knowing she had reached him brought immense relief and happiness. The sound of a train pulling into the platform echoed. Holding his phone, he paused, then turned back toward her.
Even once I'm there, I promise I'll be in touch.
I'll be waiting.
She answered with a smile, and he nodded softly. Then he boarded the train, gazing her way until the doors slid shut. As the train began moving, she caught a glimpse of him through the door, waving gently.
He's really leaving, but we'll see each other again, won't we?
Watching him disappear from sight, she made a quiet vow in her heart. She resolved, next time, I'll tell him my feelings more confidently. She couldn't leave until he was out of sight entirely. Whispering thank you again and again in her mind, she felt a faint sense of pride in finally acting on her emotions. She believed that small step forward would shape whatever lay ahead. On that day, she at last mustered the courage to express the feelings she'd locked inside. And waiting beyond is a new story, a future she greets with hope.